Hello and welcome to the 6 Plus show, a podcast for your wargaming and 40k needs. Hobby talk, tactics, tournament reports, lore and much more. We have it all. Please welcome your host for the evening, Tom.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and recently exploded Ravenwing champions to that 6 Plus show. I'm your host, Tom, and I am joined tonight by our dear leader, Chris. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
How are you doing, Chris? What are you currently doing with your hands?
Oh, keeping it PG here, boys. I am building ranges.
Fantastic.
Because I played some games with Harlequins recently. It made me quite sad. I'm doing what any self-respecting 40k player would do and trying a new army out.
That's very wise.
But no, yeah, I'm building some rangers at the moment. Yes.
Fantastic. For the Ynnari train.
For the Ynnari train.
Very nice. I'm also joined by not just Jamie, but Jamie's cat I see behind him.
Bob, the
Say hello, Jamie.
Hello, how are we?
Very good, thank you. What have you been up to, Jamie? Anything hobby related?
No, I'm pretty much hobby free at the moment. I haven't got a GT now until December, so I had a little bit of time off.
That's very nice.
Got a couple of models in it to paint up for Tau, which I'm likely to take to wherever it is we're off to, Leicester.
I think it is December. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, not a lot, unfortunately.
No, I think
that's
sometimes a rest is a good thing, right?
Definitely needed, yeah.
Yeah, no, much the same. I've had 5 little Votan dwarfs on my painting desk for the entire week, and that's all I've done is very intermittently sit down and do a tiny bit on those every day. And they are looking pretty, but there's still so many dwarves that I would have to do to actually field any of those. So it's going to be a very long time. What happens
when you start from 0 points and have to get to 2?
It's really rough. Yeah, it's really rough. Takes a long time. But that's been the only bit of dabbling in hobby I've done as well. What we are going to do tonight is a very special concoction, which is our very own attempt at a tier list, because tier lists are very popular. To the point that one day we should make a tier list of all the tier list videos that have been made by other people.
That'd be the meta.
That would be cool. But what we're going to do is a tier list concept we call Your Army Sucks. And the concept is very straightforward. We're going to go through the 40k armies that you might take out into the world to compete and play with your friends. We're going to explain to you why that army sucks, in case you weren't already aware, or to help you know that there are others out there who understand your struggles and your suffering with your particular army as well. And once we've done that, we're going to think very loosely about what bracket we might put such an army in. For your average player out there at the moment who's taking it to an event, how's that experience going to be? Sort of balancing experience with possible outcomes and ceilings as well. So thinking about how good that army is, but also thinking about how much of a struggle or not struggle would running that army be right now. And I guess we've had the balanced data slate, so we might think a little bit about whether that's changed at all from recent times as well. But we'll see how we go. Chris is shaking his head. He doesn't want to do that kind of analysis tonight. That is not.
No, I mean, it's not changed anything.
It's changed tiny bit.
Yes.
Shock tactics meta now.
It is well known, yeah.
Is it probably? I think it's probably more meta defining than Armour of Contempt, without a doubt. Shock tactics change.
Yeah, fact.
Absolutely.
You heard it here first. No one's talking about it.
Just enormous. Just as AOC now has its own acronym, ST also will, to reflect the enormous changes.
We're coining that phrase.
In terms of structure, we're going to start with the armies of the Imperium, but not the Emperor's Finest, not the Adeptus Astartes. Then we're going to think about the Xenos of all flavors. Then we're going to think about Space Marines of all flavors. And then we're going to wrap up by finishing with Chaos. And we'll put these loosely into brackets. Hopefully we'll agree on something, but maybe we'll argue. Hard to know. It's exciting. We will find out. And then maybe we'll revisit this one day. Maybe we won't. Who knows? But that's where we're going to start. So we're going to start with Armies of the Imperium. And I have here the Games Workshop website, which is actually a very dangerous thing to have open.
It's very expensive.
Late night on a weekday when you're bored and a bit sad, and you're like, "Oh, how am I going to get that little dopamine hit to get me back at it after hard times?" But the first army on that for Armies of the Imperium is the Adepta Sororitas. The Sisters of Battle. Why do the Adeptus Sororitas suck, do we think?
I don't think Sororitas suck. It's just the war suits that suck.
The war suits suck. Paragon war suits
That's a
suck.
very pointed comment there, Jamie. Bit of Jamie Warfare going on there.
Hey, I'm all for playing against them. I'm undefeated against them, so...
For those who aren't aware, the other Jamie in the team, he's a Sisters player, and he loves his war suits, and he's been advocating them tournament after tournament as he's lost game after game, and he's managed to play against Jamie, and Jamie loves blowing up suits. So for that reason alone, I guess they suck.
Well, if they had the infantry keyword, I think they'd be good, but without that, they can't walk through walls and therefore suck.
Yeah, Paragon Warsuits definitely suck. Their secondaries definitely suck. They've got very silly secondaries where they just fiddle about doing some nonsense and then they get 95 points. That's a bit stupid. And then what else sucks about them?
Miracle Dice.
Miracle Dice. Oh, it's not on, is it?
Not fair,
That's not fair, is it?
I don't get to do that. Why
coming out of Deep Strike making a 12 charge, you got no right. It's absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, just get to choose when you use certain dice. Oh,
yeah, no, it
sucks.
No, you're right. I think those things combined absolutely suck. So that is why the Adeptus Sororitas suck. And if you were to take the Adeptus Sororitas to an event this coming weekend, what bracket do you think you'd land in? Of these 5-0, 4-1, 3-2, 2-3, where do we reckon?
Well, if you're a very average Joe, like someone like Jamie East, for example, I guess
proud sponsor of the Blues.
Proud sponsor of the Blues.
Yeah,
Thank you for the shirts, Jamie.
Don't take away our shirts, Jamie.
I guess it would be a 2-3-3-2 bracket for the.
Yeah, so I reckon 3-2 to me feels about right because if you're an absolute big brain Sisters player, you can definitely take it higher than that. But they are a bunch of fiddly T3 models, aren't they? At the end of the day, and when it all goes wrong, they do sort of put themselves back in the box.
And if you just launch them, then you're going to go 2-3, Jamie. And if you don't, you might go 3-2, 4-1. And if you play them really well, obviously they've got a really high ceiling.
Yeah.
They're very much a house of cards. I think they'll look pretty when it's going well, but it soon falls apart. There's a few armies that slip into that category at the moment, but I think Sisters are definitely one of those.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I guess we have to put the 3-2 because there's a chance you take not bloody Rose, in which case you're going to have a terrible time. Which is another reason that Sisters suck, because there is only one way anyone runs them, and that sucks. We can't endorse that. Go and play Valorous Heart. Maybe that's good. I don't know. Or Argent
Shroud.
Bodice, I can't remember
corset ladies.
The corset ladies. There's all sorts of minor sub factions that haven't yet been explored with Sisters. Get out there and do it. We will put Sisters firmly in the 3-2 bracket. There you go. So I've written 3-2 again when instead I should write Sisters. Next up, we have it's Chris's actual favourite army, the army that he always takes out on events and will always run for the rest of his life. It's the Adeptus Custodes. Why do the Adeptus Custodes suck?
Because they aren't muscly enough. We've all seen the memes where they're like the people in the gold armor, but they're just like oiled up.
Yes.
I feel like they're not hench enough.
No, I agree with that. I think the gold's a bit obvious as well, don't you think? It's like, you're clearly very good at stuff. That much is very obvious. There's no need to rub it in. Why is literally everyone wearing gold feels indulgent and showy to me? And I don't like that there's something that's supposed to be better than Space Marines. Again, that feels like a cheap Games Workshop sales tactic to me. You've all bought Space Marines. Now here are some guys that are even more super cool than Space Marines, and then everyone goes and buys them. Oh, and also they suck because of turning off rerolls. That's...
I mean, they don't anymore, but...
Well, they do it once. That's still enough. I still think that's outrageous, personally.
The main reason they suck is because they didn't protect the Emperor.
That's true. That is absolutely true. They're doing a shoddy. Why are they out fighting at GTs? Absolutely pointless place for them to be.
Plumes suck.
Yeah, plumes do suck.
And
spending hundreds of pounds on Forge World sucks as well. And that seems to be a big part of playing Custodes, and that's not fun. No. That said, if you're your average Joe at a GT, I think it's quite hard to lose all your games with Custodes, right? They're quite chewy. They're quite tough to remove. And I feel like a lot of players do literally run screaming into them and get annihilated.
Yeah, you might come across a Grey Knights player that just can't kill anything, and you'll
well,
just
yeah,
throw
if you've got
everything
the
at him
4-up shrug,
one,
yeah,
and he'll throw his entire army at you, bounce off, kill 2 models, and then you'll just table him turn 3. So that could always happen.
And that is
that
quite
sounds
nice,
like
really,
a very interesting abstract scenario you've just described.
Yeah.
Something like that could happen.
At some tournament, like an LGT.
Yeah.
And so they're brawly. I feel like they're probably on the 3-2-2-3 line because there is a lot of stuff out there that just blast them off the board, right? And it's just deciding how many of those you're going to hit.
You can just run at your opponent because that's what happens in Jamie's game. The Custodians just ran straight down the middle.
A generic game that may happen.
Yeah, and then 1 turn 2. So they do have that ability.
It's just largely matchup dependent, isn't it? If you get a good draw, then you're 3-2. If not, you're 2-3s.
Yeah. So coin toss seems to be the answer. Does anyone have a coin?
No.
I'm going to roll a dice. Hold on. So 1, 2, or 3. They're in 2, 3. They're in 2-3. That was a 1. Yeah. Okay. Custodes in 2-3 because they hit Tyranids round 1. Never recovered. End of discussion. But yeah, no, that's why
they don't have good secondaries as well.
Oh, really. They actually have no good secondaries. The Custodes player I played at Unconquerables took behind enemy lines. And I was like, you are not quick. I don't know what this isn't going to happen.
But when he gets there in turn 4, you're not taking him out.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm never getting him out. He's getting that delicious 8. There's no chance. Next up, we've got the Adeptus Mechanicus. They suck because their book gives me a migraine.
It's Chris's other favourite army that he will always play.
It's Chris's other favourite army that he will always play going forward no matter what. Yeah, exactly. There's so many of these.
It's coincidence that we've covered 2 out of 3 of them so far. That's it.
He does love them until they get nerfed. This is true.
I'm fully aware that they suck, which is why they're playing them. They suck because they have no good secondaries. They suck because they can't take 6 planes anymore.
Yeah, and they suck because the cool robots and wheelie bin guys aren't good. And that's, to me, I think those are the coolest things in Mechanicus. You take the robots, you draw a little smiley face on them, you take the little wheelie bin robots, shoot everyone off the board, and as it is, it's just here are 10 million little foot guys and some guys with blades for arms, and that's it. That's what a Mechanicus now looks like. Oh, they also suck because only Richard Siegler can play them well in the entire world as of 2021, pretty much.
Yeah,
onwards, which means that they must be rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you reckon you would place? I honestly think this might be a 1-4. Yeah, this feels like a 1-4 for the Adeptus Mechanicus.
I've seen very on their 1. Imperial fists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a coin toss for that 1, but I think they've got it in them just because they've got so many guns that I think someone's going to fall foul of that. And there's some quite good tech in the book.
Oh yeah,
there are tricks and tools and shenanigans. So if you manage to use like one of those relics or upgrades correctly in your 5 games, you'll probably be all right. 1-4 feels about right for them. I've seen very, very competent players get absolutely mullered with Admech in recent times. They're just not having any joy with them. Although there was a guy at LGT who had an all-riser Rust Stalkers list that looked amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I was listening to
he's not the norm.
I was listening to something earlier, and it was Matt Robertson. He was saying you should just take 30 Rust Stalkers, 30 Infiltrators, and be what's it called? The one that allows you to forward deploy, and just stick 60 troops on 9 inches away from your opponent's line, and hope you go first.
Yeah, why not? Why not? That might well get you a 2-3. Yeah,
exactly.
That's 2-3-3-2. But obviously, not many Admech players are going to ride that train. So we'll keep them in the 1-4 for now.
Yes.
So next up, we have the Astra Militarum. Now, the Astra Militarum suck because you've got a whole galaxy of infinite possibilities, and you want to play World War II and paint just World War II because you like World War II.
Yeah,
and you know how World War II works.
Bolt action. Go play Bolt action.
Yeah. And they also suck because either the opponent massacres all your men and cuddles all your tanks and you lose and there's nothing you can do, or they don't get to you and they die. And those are the two outcomes you're allowed with Imperial Guard.
Boring game. Winning or losing.
Why else do guards suck? No, I think that's about the gist of it. But they are a bit better now than they were. The old guard, they can kill some stuff. I feel like they might be.
Was ever the problem? It's the scoring.
No, that's true.
Stuff, they always.
I reckon they might be in the 2-3 though. I think they're in the 2-3 with the custodes because I think they hit. There's a few armies out there at the moment that don't really have a plan for if they hit just a wall of guns.
I love how our tier list has custodes who are winning GTs and stuff in the same bracket as AdMech.
Well, that's because it's super serious. No, AdMech is in 1-4, mate.
Sorry, the guard and custodes.
Custodes won like one GT, right?
Yeah, a week or two ago they had a really good time.
Yeah, but that's it. We're not putting GT wins here because none of us win GTs. So there's not much point.
We don't know what would win a GT. So.
Let us know.
Actually, Chris, you have won a GT. To be fair, so it's not a completely outrageous thing to see. I will be ranking everything on its ability to come second, because that's the only thing I've ever managed. Right, Astra Militarum done. Imperial Knights. Now, Imperial Knights, why do they suck?
Because if you like them, then you're probably into giant robot Japanese porn.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think the other for me the reason they suck is that most Imperial Knights just don't have any Imperial Knights in. That's a bit sad when it's all armigers. You're like, I've selected to play the army, the gimmick of which is that they have these massive flipping things. And actually, what I'm going to do is run 15 tiny medium profile things, the like of which could be in any other army, but for some reason are allowed to be spammed in this. And so that's ridiculous. It's incredibly boring to play against. A lot of their ninth mechanics are also, it's all of that, you just fail at what you wanted to do stuff, isn't it? Which again, there's a few armies in here where that's one of the frustrations. All of their defenses are built around you. You just can't do those things that you paid points to do. Sorry, they don't happen. You can't hit. I'm going to save all of it. I think that's the main thing for Knights. Also, they suck because of every time you've ever played Knights on a light table and just been demolished without absolutely any possibility.
Yeah, I remember in teams I played them on a light table, but I had 3 hammerheads. That was a very quick. Turn 2, I think it finished.
Vicious, absolutely vicious. Yeah, I've seen that done tonight.
Was that your first win at the team tournament, Jeremy? Was that your first win at the team tournament?
On the second day?
On the second day. Was that tournament with the broken tower?
It was that day, yeah.
Just checking. Couldn't remember.
The ceiling on Knights is pretty high at the minute, though, isn't it?
But they're not winning anything, though.
No, they're not. I feel like they don't quite get there right now, but I think they're a 4-1. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they're always going to come across an army with Retributors or Hammerheads or something
eventually
that ilk in there.
But the chances are you hit. Yeah, exactly. The chances are you hit at least 2 lists that literally can't deal with you. Then 1 or 2 that really have to get it right to deal with you, and then eventually you're going to run into one that is just piloted by someone that has a plan for these things. I don't know. I wouldn't know. I always lose to Knights.
Me too.
That's just what I do. I face planted my Dracarian tonight, tried to fight 2 Megaeras on 2 different flanks at the same time.
It's a bold strategy.
Absolute shit show. Shout out to Steve Tinkin. That was a lovely game. I really enjoyed that, but absolute disaster. Right, okay. That ticks off the Imperium because we're not going to do the Inquisition or the Officio Assassinorum yet. Let's hope that Codex Inquisition is in the works.
Oh, yeah. I've got a lot
see that soon. So we shall move to the Xenos. First up, we have my beloved Eldari. Why do Eldari suck? Anyone want to tell me?
Well, they don't suck. They're wonderful and perfect. So I don't understand the question. Jamie, why?
Well, they used to suck because they shot you and you couldn't shoot them, which is pretty sucky. Yeah. But now, when they shoot you, you can shoot back. So they don't suck anymore.
They suck from a different perspective now.
And not being shot, whereas Eldar can't do that.
Yeah, so they built a ninth book that was like the definition of non-interactive because you could hide in a bajillion different ways, and then they literally killed every single mechanic that it has, whilst rising all the points up on it. So now you're bringing hundreds of points of T3 wounds that just get murdered, except for Swooping Hawks, who can still hide and be extremely annoying, just as they ever were.
Just for considerably more points.
Yeah. The balance of the book is weird. It's basically just a aspect warriors and psychers fest. There's not really a lot else going on in it. Wraiths don't really exist. If you don't see wraiths out much. It seems like every Craft Wars list has to have about 500 points of characters, which is slightly frustrating when you're trying to play against someone who doesn't have 500 points of characters and instead has just 1,800 points of kill you.
Yeah.
And they are hard, genuinely. People used to say Eldar were hard to play. This time they are legitimately hard to play. 8th edition, I wouldn't say they were because you just shot people off with planes and tanks, but this time they are a faff. Eldari are hard to play and very unrewarding. If you get it wrong, you just get murdered, but can obviously make anyone's day quite sad by just not playing with them and killing them. Where do we think they land?
Great secondaries either, though, do they?
No, they
Obviously,
don't.
Wrath of Cain can score well, depending on how you build your list.
Yeah, Wrath of Cain's okay.
That, they're not.
Scout the Enemy is passable. Wrath of Cain is okay. All of the psychic ones end up becoming a sort of nightmarish situation where you're trying to stay alive long enough to do that whilst also fighting the opponent. But yeah, they've got some game, but they've been really hurt by the secondary changes as well. Where do we think that puts them?
Actions, you kind of need your farseers to be doing stuff.
You really, really do.
You really do. Sitting there interrogating someone.
No, every psyker in that army is important, so it's hard to spare. I suspect that right now, this is for your average player. This is a 2-3. I think.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think again the ceiling is high. I think the ceiling is high on Craft Wars. I think people do still break through every now and again with them. People really like D cannons these days. You can do some fun stuff with D cannons, but I think you are going to be if you're rocking up with Eldar, you are going to be scrapping around for that positive outcome, and I feel like a lot of the time you're going to fall short. So that's a reasonable start point. Oh, we have another one of my favourites. Now we're going through all of mine. So we've got a triple whammy of armies Tom plays now. So we have the Drakari next. Why do Drakari suck? I'll abstain for this.
Well, as we discussed off camera, it's because no one would ever want to look through your internet search history.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. Played by deviants and weirdos.
Yeah. Matrix wannabes, as you said.
Yeah,
it's
leather jacket wearing tryhards.
And you have a leather jacket, don't you, Tom?
I absolutely do. Yeah, I've always had one.
Embracing it.
Yeah, so I fit that stereotype. What else would Drakari suck? The rack spam list exists just about because Manny uses it, and that's not a cool list, is it? That's not a great time. They obviously suck for murdering everyone for about 6 months as well.
They made a lot of people sad.
They made a lot of people very sad
and not enjoy Warhammer.
There were a lot of games ended in turn 2 with that book.
Yeah.
And now it's in the sad spot of the old broken book that just can't do it into the new ones. It has to run around trying to catch them. I mean, I think that said though, I do still think they're a decent book, and I would be inclined to 3-2 them. I don't know if
that's better than Craft Worlds for the average Joe.
I think so. Yeah,
is that purely because of Drazar?
I think I think they're more simple to play than Eldari because it's only 2 phases really, and I still think they've got a lot of incredibly pushed units that actually never got nerfed as hard as Craft Worlds have. To be honest, I think Craft Worlds took a harder set of nerfs the one time they were nerfed than Drakari did in like 4 goes. Incubi is still ridiculous. Grotesque is still really, really good. Rax are still very good. Drazar, all the characters that you would take before are still great. And it's a fairly simple pounce, overwhelm strategy that I think a lot of players do still struggle with. I don't think you get
secondaries well as well.
Yeah, they do. They have good secondary game. I don't think they get past any of our 4-1-5-0s if they actually hit them with any reliability. But I think they bully the rest fairly happily. And because I'm pro Drakari, we'll put them in with Sisters in the 3-2. Blatant bias is a fundamental part of making tier lists, and you should all know that.
Yep.
Next up, we have Gene Stealer Cults. Well,
they suck because what did you say, Jamie? It was something about
the 4,000 deployment phases they have.
Yeah.
I'm not at all biased due to this. The one game I've ever timed out in a game of Warhammer, and I got blamed for it.
They suck because
guide.
no GT game ever finishes with GT the Cults, does it? Sadly, and lots of friends of mine have had ropey or dodgy finishes in GT the Cults games because it took too long.
Yeah.
They are complicated to play.
That many deployments. I played GSC twice at a tournament, and I had 35 units. And like for turn 2 and 3, it was, where should I deep strike down these 17 units?
Yeah,
and that's the fundamental issue there, an unpleasant gaming experience for your opponent.
Yeah, it's very cinematic. There's a glorious moment in turn 2 where everything springs out of holes in the ground, and then it's immediately killed, and it's a bit ride or die, and I think it's not for the faint-hearted. You have to really like putting your entire army away very, very quickly to want to play them. And also, I think having built a GC the Cults army, it takes forever and it costs a lot of money, and that sucks. That sucks. Get yourself 3 boxes of Custodes and go and just smash face on the 2-3. I think they might be going in the 2-3 as well.
Yeah,
not the 1-4.
Not the 1-4, no, because I think some GSC lists can be quite good, and I think the jank plays in your favour. I think if you take GSC to an event, you're going to hit at least 2 people that don't have a clue what GSC do, and those games are always easier.
It's definitely an army you need to get plenty of reps in, I think.
Oh, you absolutely would.
Even consider taking it to a GT. It's not one you can pick up a la Space Marines or Custodes and still walk into a tournament feeling fairly confident.
I can attest to that.
But it's definitely still more straightforward than the Adeptus Mechanicus, I think.
Yeah, that requires a lot of cheat sheets to run that.
And the flood of bodies and there's lots of nasty gotchas built into the army that I think you need to play against it at least twice, maybe more times, before you fully know what's going to happen and how to do it.
I played it twice. I still have no idea how you get crossfire tokens and all those things. They've got a crossfire token, have they? Okay.
Just assume you always have one.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure if I was playing a game now and I just went blah 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 brood swarm blah 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 ambush, gave myself 3 or 4 points a turn. No one is disputing me at any point.
You've got some units different areas of the board more than me. Yeah, sure. Cool.
It is worth saying their secondary game is much better now. The changes to both those secondaries make it genuinely possible to play the army, basically do what you need to do to stay alive and kill them and get points whilst you do it, which I think is where they needed to be at. So yeah, they're not so bad to play, but 5 GT games with them, are you mental? That would hurt. That would be very sad. We saw Indus Wilson playing them and he was the unhappiest man in the entire room at LGT. Literally the least happy person at the London Grand Tournament, I think.
One of his opponents looked pretty grumpy.
Yeah, like I said on the Sunday morning when I played him, and he was just like so miserable. And I'd had my first turn and put out far too much stuff, and he just sat there for like 2 or 3 minutes, just started picking up all of his models out of his trays, and was just like, "I fucking hate this army." As he went around and just play still. Yeah,
very, very, very funny. And I think I was thinking about it yesterday. I would need just a tray for the stuff that's in reserves, the tray for the stuff that's on the board, and literally do it like that. And just everything has to go straight back in it as soon as you're done, and vice versa. Make sure you have you're essentially fielding 2 armies every time, and you'd need to get it to a point where you just knew exactly what each of those was going to be. But even then, it's a faff. Right, that's GC the Cults. Next up, we have Necrons.
Secondaries.
Necron secondaries suck. Necrons are one of the starter armies, which means they suck because there's too many of them around, and it means that I can't sell the Imperium magazine's worth of stuff that I've got because I'm an idiot and I shouldn't have got it, and now there's too many of them out there and no one wants to buy them. So I'm stuck with them forever, even though I don't want to play Necrons. Why else do they suck? Oh, because they come back when you kill them. That's unreasonable. That's extremely unreasonable. Yeah, poor little elf there. It's just stabbed a thing. Things got back up. Twice as big as the elf. Sad day. Lived that day too many times. I don't like it.
Everything's cool. That sucks.
Everything's cool. The Silent King sucks. And he's in every list. And he doesn't do anything. And he's just annoying. And he gives rerolls and he won't die. Yeah, I dislike him. I quite like Catan and no one ever runs them anymore.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Catan. Like, they're fun to use, and now they had their moment when all the changes happened. Everyone was like, "Catan finally good," and now everyone's realised, no, just take 27 scarabs and 15 wraiths.
Yeah,
have a really fun game.
Well, they are. Yeah, Scarab and Destroyer and Wraith spam. Ugh. And so it's not a well-written book that they had to basically inject with steroids to try and keep it alive. And now they've created this big angry monster thing.
That's right. They fixed it though.
Which they fixed by what did they do? Oh, the Silent King's not core.
So that's fixed all the problems.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
It's definitely not the OBSEC and pre-game move. That is not an issue.
No.
And if you get top of turn, then top of turn 4, you get 100 points. That's not a problem.
Fine by me.
So your opponent's got 3 turns to kill you, or you're going to get 100 points. Great.
Outrageous. It's just not pleasant, is it? Not pleasant.
That's why they suck.
Last time I played Necrons, I went in thinking, you've got to table them by turn 3 or blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, of course, they could just table you. That's also an outcome that happens. It's not a given. You could still just get absolutely done and lose anyway.
Yeah.
Which is very much how it went for me, sadly. Where are we putting them? They scored. You can do well with Necrons right now.
Joe, are you a 3-2 or 4-1? Surely.
I think 4-1 because I think it is the most beginner-friendly army.
Yeah, I think 4-1, but I would say they're on the threshold with 3-2. That's what I would warn.
Yeah, the counter argument is that the data's not actually that great at the moment for them because you've got the really good players with them are just winning all the time. But then the average, the worse than average Joe, with all their Imperium magazines that they've bought off suckers like Tom, don't understand the secondaries. Don't take Code of Combat and Mark Milton and start losing with them. So it's a hard one, isn't it?
What do we think, Jamie? Are we going to listen to him, take him down, or are we going to keep in the 4-1?
I think 4-1.
I think 4-1. I think for now, but you're on the cusp. You're definitely on the cusp, but you're not going to come and slum it with Sisters and Drakari and the other has-beens.
No, definitely not.
Next up, speaking of slumming it, we have Orcs. Orcs suck.
They won a tournament, so they're OP. 5-0.
They won a tournament and they need to be nerfed.
They didn't get nerfed.
Nerf Goss. Orcs. The buggies happen, so they suck because of that.
Yeah.
They suck because they've got players who think it's okay to scream "war" at a tournament.
Yeah, and because I think players that do that suck, and I also think players that don't do that suck, which is a really
they're
helpful.
They're not embracing the culture, are they?
It's a helpful start. That's it. You think you're too good to be an Orc player, do you? That's the thing,
Or when one guy was, and then some guy 30 metres away also does it for the laugh.
Yeah, I don't mind it on Saturday, but if you're going to do that on Sunday when I'm fragile, then I think that's mean, and it's
behaviour.
And they're another book or an army that's got tons of units, and there should be lots of interesting things that you can do, and it never seems to work out that way. It always seems to just be, here's a load of buggies, or here's a bunch of Goths boys going to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
They are quite fun to play, though. I do find it quite hard to slag off Orcs, really, because I actually really enjoy playing Orcs. They're always fun. Gazgul's fun. Got good secondaries. I think it's actually a very good time to be an Orc player right now.
Do they have good secondaries?
They do, yeah. There's definitely play around them. I think if you build,
they're definitely cool things like get the good bits.
Yeah, get the good bits
is
legitimately a decent secondary, and then, the others aren't so great. I think you can do some stuff with your war boss, your warlord or something, and get some points. But no, I think they're solid. I think they're all right. Yeah. I don't know where your average player lands with Orcs, but I think it's a good time to run Orcs.
I think probably 2-3.
I think 2-3. I think 2-3 as well. They
do just overwhelm some players.
Yeah, absolutely they do. They overwhelm me more often than not. 2-3 is fair, but again on the cusp. They're scratching at that 3-2, but they're not really there.
It turns out that most armies, if taken by an average Joe,
get average results. Is this a flaw? Is this a flaw in our grading system? Maybe other tier lists that focus on GT wins have it right after all. But we'll see. We've got a proper test coming up because we now have the Tau Empire.
Oh,
now we know why the Tau Empire suck. Because
I'm probably the biggest advocate of Tau sucking,
and you play them.
Plays them on a regular basis.
Do you want to explain to the listener?
you either shoot someone off the table and they have a dreadful day, or they come and touch you where you don't want to be touched, and you have a very bad day. And there
Yes.
doesn't seem to be many games that are anywhere in the middle of that.
No, not really, no.
You tend to know fairly early on whether you're going to be pushed off the board or whether they're going to be blown away, and someone always tends to walk out of that game feeling pretty crappy.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Frustrating. There's not a lot of games where you come away as a Tau player or as an opponent, I'm sure, playing against Tau, that you think that was a really good, fun, close game.
Just doesn't have that back and forth, does it? Doesn't really work that way.
Even if the score is tight, either you've got them on the brink and they're just scraping points and they're like, oh, that was obnoxious, or you've somehow managed to scrape a close defeat and you're thinking, great, I got a couple of recruit and a commander left, and that's that. And it's just and
the artillery spam happened as well, so never forgive, never forget.
Airburst was a bit.
That was a rough time.
And they want to be good guys.
Yeah, they are want to be good. I think they've pulled them down, haven't they? In the lore, they've ruined them now, made them just as evil as everyone else. But I think that's a fair assessment of Tau, and it's a ride or die, isn't it? I mean, that said, they are one of the better ones right now, because a lot of armies don't have a plan for a shooty army that's going to fly around and shoot them.
Yeah.
And the ceiling is quite high. I don't think they're easy to use, though, Tau. I don't think they are at the minute. I think
Jamie manages it.
Jamie's a very solid and competent player, Chris.
I'm a solid 2 and 3 player. Devil of the midboards.
I would be tempted to put them in the 4-1, but I don't know. They kill a lot of stuff.
The secondary game is bang average.
Yeah, so the secondaries are horrific. It's not good. But I think they're 3-2 pre-data slate. I think they came out very strong from the data slate.
Yeah.
Just because
I think that's a fair assessment.
Some of their biggest bullies were nerfed with light Harlequins and Leviathan Nids. Were 2 armies that gave them a lot of hassle. And they've both been slapped down quite a bit. So I'm looking. And
they had been enjoying the chaos meta a bit as well, right? Not all of it. I think Demons is obviously a bit of a bad day for Tau, but CSM Tau don't mind.
Yeah, you can fight on death all day long because we can't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And Emperor's Children feels like it's a tight game.
Yeah.
And if it's a tight game with something that's taken out lots of events right now, then that's a good place to be. So, if you're a new Tau player, I promise you will get a 4-1 next time you go to them.
Quality. If you want our tactics videos as well.
Yes, of Tau 101, which I think Jamie's going to re-releasing any day now. He's going to open with that whole spiel about how much it sucks. Yeah. Fantastic. And then we have the Tyrannids. Here we go. Tyrannids.
Yeah.
Why do Tyrannids
suck? Because
Leviathan
sucks. On a 4-up all the time. It's just a horrific rule that's so child-friendly.
It's rubbish, isn't it?
If you can't play Warhammer, just take an army that can only ever be wounded on 4.
Yeah, it is very sad watching your whole army struggle to kill one block of guys and then getting hit by the rest of their army. That is sad. Yeah. Harpies suck. They are horrible and they fly over and they kill you and they're better than planes have any right to be. Hive Tyrant sucks with his killing and his running away. Harpies are nuts.
A bomber that is also one of the best shooting units in the game, like for no reason, just is.
Tyrannids players suck because they've been promising that if you nerf us, we'll just go and do some other Hive fleet for about a year and a bit, but they never actually do. They just keep playing Leviathan anyway. Maybe this time they actually will. I'm hopeful that this time they actually genuinely will. But they've been it's such a deep, but it doesn't look very deep. None of you are running it in a particularly deep fashion. Has to be said, looks like you're all doing literally exactly the same thing as each other. In truth, but I guess Hive Mind is appropriate, right? And that's kind of the way with Tyrannids. So I think we will see whether there's other stuff in it now. There's a lot of talk about Kraken, Jormungand, some of these other ones, but we'll have to see if it genuinely does have these other layers, or if actually a deep book means you leave and play something else when it's not quite as good. But we will see. That said, they're still horrific, aren't they? Mortal wounds for days, guns for days, great data sheets, quite cheap.
Suck. I hate Zone Throats.
Zone Throats. I love Zone Throats. They're my favourite of the Tyrannid units, but they absolutely spank everything that gets in front of them. And that's very
Carnifexes
unpleasant.
with heavy venom cannons, they suck.
Carnifex is a
Why have
ludicrous.
you got
Screamer
damage
killers.
4 gun on this thing?
A screamer killer costs the same as an ironclad dreadnought. In fact, I think it might be cheaper than an ironclad dreadnought, of which I have 3. And none of my ironclads have ever been good, and that's not fair. And so on that basis, we're going to put Tyranids. I think they got to go 5-0. I'm going to put them in 5-0.
If you're an average Joe, you can go and win the GT.
Yeah, if you're an average Joe, you're going to go and get a 5-0 Tyranids.
And if you have won a tournament with them, you are still an average Joe.
Yeah, yes, this is true.
You're not good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm calling you out.
We will. This is one where I'd be delighted to be wrong, because if they do drop off now, that'd be wonderful. But I feel like they are probably still just so horrible that 5-0s are going to keep on happening for them. But we will see.
For everyone.
Yeah.
For everyone that plays them. That's my pledge to you.
Leviathan ones, anyway.
If you lose a game, something disastrous has happened.
You're worse than average.
You are worse than average.
You're below
and
average.
We should know, because we definitely are.
Yeah.
Next up, Leagues of Votann. Leagues of Votann suck so much that they didn't even get to play before they got wrecked.
Got the pack being used.
They must have been the first army ever to get nerfed pre-release.
They are. They're victims of a witch hunt, really, for dwarf hunt.
The community, yeah.
The community.
The community.
Well,
sucks,
wait.
not
The community.
yeah.
The community does suck, because it was easy to nerf Votann because nobody owned any Votann, so everyone was very happy to step up and be like, "Yeah, let's put them in the bin before they even come out." I mean, they clearly did write a deeply, deeply fucked book, and just put tons and tons of all of the best rules in the world in there. And auto wounding on 4s is stupid as hell.
Giving it back to Admech, though.
They have given it back to Admech. I watched someone using that at the table next to me the other day, and it is just as nuts as it ever was. But it did not. It did not save him.
Did it not?
No.
Well, there was some maths done, and it was like Vic and David Gaylord. They were saying they worked out the maths on a full Admech Vanguard brick with the auto wounding on 4s to hit all the buffs you could put on them into the Terminators, the 10-man Terminators blob, and it kills 1 Terminator.
Yeah.
And that is why that's...
Which is not going to be enough, is it, really?
It's unlikely to be.
No. So, I mean, I think those are the main reasons that Leagues of Votann suck.
I think GW sucks in their nerfing of him, that the wound roll never counts as a 6 now when it auto wins, so it will never ever roll a 6 to wound.
Yeah.
If you hit on a 4 and it auto wounds, it's like, great, so now I can't ever use them cool rules that are on a 6 to wound.
Yeah, breaking the mechanics on the Magna Rail feels a bit sad, because the Magna Rail was a loopy looking gun. The beams thing is a bit mental as well, a bit afraid of that. But we'll wait and see whether it's, this was obviously just an enormous sales pitch that's gone disastrously wrong. And it's just where it ends up falling now. How do we reckon? I guess we kind of have to take it. I guess the new models are just about to arrive. How do you reckon a fully fleshed out Votann army does? It is still pretty punchy, but it doesn't have a ton of stuff.
No, it doesn't.
And the secondaries aren't great.
No. What do we think?
Secondaries.
I'm going to say 3-2.
I'm leaning towards 3-2. God, my Dracaria stealing a living in the 3-2. They're going to have to get downgraded. Looking at the company they're keeping at the moment, we've got Sisters and Votann definitely better. But yeah, I think that's the case. I think that's where they're at, and we'll wait and see whether they prove us wrong. I left off Harlequins, so we should probably do Harlequins. Why do Harlequins suck?
They don't. They're glorious and beautiful, and everyone should love them.
They suck because hitting on 4s no rerolls is horrible.
Yeah, that does suck, doesn't it? That absolutely sucks. It's another one of those times again, like Knights, where it's like, oh, that thing you do, you don't do that thing. That's my thing. My thing is you don't do your thing.
Every one of my rules, they're like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Or that, yeah.
I bet they never set off the no charge strat on you, though.
No.
But they have that as well. They got literally run away from charges as the final kick in the teeth.
It's all right. They don't have run away from charges now because no one's going to run light, are they?
So that's true as well. Yeah. Oh no, this is another deep book, isn't it? The deep book that is. Well, no, that's another reason Harlequins suck. They gave you 3 ways to play. One of which has been nerfed for no reason before it even was used. The other one of which has now been brutally nerfed. The third one, if you're a genius, you're great. But otherwise, it's going to be a hard day. And also Void Weavers happened, so never forgive, never forget.
No, never forget that. They suck because they do suck if you're not very good.
Oh, there's
Right.
that as well. It can be, the win rates can be misleading and it can be hard.
You make a mistake, you lose the game, and that feeling sucks.
And it sucks only having like 4 data sheets other than characters.
Well, it sucks. Yeah, exactly. Having 4 data sheets and then players run only 2 of those. and then so what the hell? Like an already tiny book. No sub-faction flavour because they've cut half of them out. No unit flavour because they've cut half of them out. And then some ludicrously badly pointed and written things initially, which is slowly on their way down to the dustbin. But probably still good. I don't know. We'll see.
And also, they had loads of fun stuff in 8th, and then that got removed to less fun.
The 8th book was so good. I love the 8th book. The 8th book was absolutely brilliant. There was a relic where you could just boot your guy off and put him down somewhere else. Oh, just all sorts of jank.
Yeah,
game-winning jank that just got taken away. So a flavorful army that doesn't have the flavour.
Any idiot can play
the secondaries are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Sorry.
Ludicrous scoring.
Yeah, you can get 450 points at a tournament and lose most of your games.
Just absolutely bonkers secondaries. Get good. So where do we think? And I guess this is where we have to think the balance. How much does the balance they actually change things, do we think?
They're a 2-3. They're a solid bracket winning 2-3 army.
We have the literal evidence that right here. I mean, I think I might try and bring it out in every podcast.
That's definitely too low. That's definitely too low. Yeah. They're at least 3-2 and possibly 4-1.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
For a beginner. For an average Joe.
For someone who's bang average.
Well, let's not forget, everyone at this tournament is an average Joe, because that's how we've conceptualized it. Because if everyone's bringing all these different armies, then they're all average and they're all playing each other.
Literally defeats the purpose.
Look, the concept isn't as fine-tuned as it could be, but I don't need to take slack for it. Right, so where do you land them? They're definitely better than Drakari. Am I going to have to put the Drakari down into 2-3 so that we can put the Harlequins in 3-2? Is that what this is?
Well, our 3-2 can be quite a broad thing.
Let's say top of 3-2.
So, like, for example, Harlequins don't auto-lose to Creations of Bile, whereas
Drakari fucking do. Yeah.
I think it's got to be 4-1.
I think it's
many.
They're not.
I think it's 4-1 because they've got game into the other things that are decent. That's the thing.
You can still just die so easily.
Of course you can.
You make positional errors, which is what average Joes like myself and
But that's true. That's true of Tau,
and you just lose.
Yeah,
but they don't. Tau can just blast their way out of trouble into some matchups. Harlequins can't.
You can't have 9 Void Weavers.
They can blast their way out of trouble in all things except Harlequins.
Yeah, which there aren't many of, so.
Yeah.
Well, we'll say top of 3-2, and then Tom can just sneak them in a 4-1.
When Tom's editing it, I'm gonna put them as a 2-3 when screw you guys.
I don't think because I can't. The idea of Drakari and Harlequins in the same bracket just doesn't fit right because Drakari just get mullered so hard by Harlequins that it makes me actually physically ill.
What have we got in the 4-1?
Although, actually, I'm looking at the list of things in the 2-3, and Drakari can beat most of those. So, actually, that probably makes it all right. In the 4-1, we've got Knights, Necrons, and Tau at the moment.
Because they're easy to use.
So, Harlequins are easily on par with Tau.
I would agree. I would completely agree, but Chris is resisting it.
It's a average tier list, not a tier list.
Do you think Tau are easy to play?
Yeah. Just point and shoot.
We could swap for a day. I'll run your Harleys into my Tau.
I do not think Tau are easy to play at the moment. I really don't.
I agree.
We're going to leave them at 3-2, and we're going to see how the rest of it takes shape. But, the tiers don't have any meaning if we don't have someone.
There will be tiers by the end of this.
So we all know that Chris just doesn't want to have to look at a tier list that has Harleys in 4-1 when he has not been going 4-1 with Harleys very much. That's what this comes down to. Oh, you did actually, though. You did at the Wickham one. That was a 4-1, right?
The Wickham one?
No. One where you lost to Sid's Knights.
No, because I played the final game was for like second place, and I got knights.
Okay.
Who are 4-1.
Yeah. So you hit. Yeah. To be fair, yes, you did. All right. Fine. Well, we'll see. Where are we going to put Yanari? Firstly, Yanari suck because they just wrote like a page of rules and just were like, go figure it out.
And they ruined Warhammer like 3-4 years ago, or whenever it was.
They're still paying for their sins from a while back, and splicing the different sub-factions together it doesn't really work. And the secondary game is very loopy and weird, but they're sort of really, really killy. So it sort of works because you can just stack a million different mortal wounds together, which I can't imagine is pleasant to play against. I don't think being hit by the planes and then all the mortals is particularly pleasant to play against. But they're just half finished, aren't they? If you click on Yanari on the store, you've just got one unit. That's not finished.
It's not a real army. They're not a real
army.
Come
back and finish the rest of that, you dickheads. What are you doing? That's outrageous. And depending on how you get FAQ'd, it will either be incredibly hard to play or fine. Yanari, where are we going to put them?
Well, they're just so finesse based, aren't they?
They are finesse based.
The Incarn's such a cool model, but very hard to use.
It is.
Well,
and I also just think good players just don't ever seem to worry about the Incarn. The ones I played were just no sweat. Just okay, play around that, kill that when I get the chance.
Yeah, let it come down, kill one unit.
Yeah,
it won't earn its points back killing one unit, and then I'll deal with it after that.
And you just have so little stuff on the board.
Yeah, I've been building lists. I'm like, where is the rest of it?
Yeah, that is it. And it's, as I say, you get one go turn, and that is it. So you've got to get it right. And yet, people can do very well with it. Ben Jones has been pulling up trees with it, which is very impressive. And some players can do better with it, but it feels a faff. And I don't think it's easy.
To Ben, and Ben was like, basically, you have to dodge creations of bile and have lots of terrain. And then you can do quite well.
Yeah, I think that was the lesson from the US as well. They were all player placed for terrain tournaments where they were smashing it as well. Yeah. Oh, actually, I think the Beachhead one is player placed, isn't it?
The Brawl one, might well.
Yeah, that was when we played it. The Southampton one or whatever was the same guys, I think. That's nice to have different terrains out there anyway. But yeah, so I think on that basis,
2-3.
2-3. Get in the 2-3 bin, Yanari.
But I love you.
Oh, I love you as well. But yeah, headache. And then we are now going to wade in to Space Marines. We're going to try and be quick and brutal here because, we've got lives to live.
Where's Paul when you need him?
Where is Paul when you need him? Black Templars. Black Templars suck because religious zealotry is outdated and scary. And we shouldn't be encouraging it.
Yeah, they need to be more woke.
Yeah, exactly that.
As my dad would say.
Woke Templars.
And why else do they suck?
Because they have to chain their weapons to their hands so they don't lose them.
Yeah, that's not very impressive, is it?
And they can't.
They have that character that gave up 15 for assassinate. That's a bit stupid. That sucks.
They don't know how to use cover.
Yeah, the vowels are all a bit weird for them.
Oh, I'll be tough, but I'm so tough I don't hide. Sure.
I'm not an elf.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lee Jones is among
models, so that sucks. That
they did.
Yeah, it sucks that they got the model,
isn't it?
And a proper chapter didn't get it. Yeah.
Oh, Orcs got it as well. They got
Lee Jones is a very good player. And whenever I've seen him playing Black Templars, he's looked rubbish, which to me says that they can't. Which to me says that they can't be very good.
Yeah, foot slogging Marines are just not.
So,
good.
Yeah, the couple of times I've played them, it's not felt like. I guess maybe if you hit all melee armies that aren't the ones that have all the tech to just kill you instantly, which is half of them. Then you're all right. So you're looking for about 25% of the field, which perhaps leads us towards putting you in the 1-4. Get in the 1-4 Black Templars next to Mechanicus. But it's not even because you're complicated. It's just because you're not good. Then we have Blood Angels.
It sucks they've only got one data sheet.
They have two. They have Sanguinary Guard and they have Forlorn Fury Death Company at the start of the game.
Two.
They've got Mephiston. So.
Oh yeah, he's
got
in all
Mephisto.
of the.
You never
all
see
of the list.
Mephisto. You never see
Whoa.
Mephisto.
He was in Harpster's ATC list. He was fisting for Mephisto.
Was
so,
he?
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. So.
Yeah, it's his tier list fall a long way short of this. Blood Angels, I think they suck because they do one thing, and it's ride or die. And
They're
their
Red
best
Army,
stratagem is
but
about
none of them.
getting their own characters killed.
Yeah. Yeah. But also they're a Red Army who are actually gold and black.
Yeah.
That's a good thing though.
But in terms of how you play them, they're pretty good though, right? They're all right. You get loads of points for basically YOLOing at your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that will work some of the time.
I think it's frustrating
and they
that they
actually
have to all bundle together and have one big love cuddle, which is a frustrating way to play because they all need the buff from the Ancient. They all need, well, potentially Dante's buff. They all need the Priest's buff. So it's just like, let's all just move around in 4 squads and then just throw one unit out every now and again. And, they don't feel like a load of autonomous units, which I think would be way more fun, but just not the way they play.
No, for sure.
And they suck for having an amazing trait +1 to wound and still not being that amazing an army.
Well, because this edition has tried harder than any edition has ever tried to make a specific buff a faction gets completely pointless because 4-up wounding has been like the biggest handout gimmick to so many armies that Blood Angel's just like, I guess I just don't do my thing. Guess I just don't do my thing. Guess I just don't do my thing over and over and over again. That said, they get through some of the 4-1s though, don't they? Because they hurt Crons. Yeah. They can hurt Knights. They can actually hurt Nids as well. Yeah. So it's not. I feel like it's one of those ones where you're going to win some games, but it's how many you think they win. Yeah, 3-2. All right, put them in there next to Harlequins. Dark Angels.
Beat Harlequins.
They beat Harlequins regularly.
They do. They do beat Harlequins. Dark Angels suck because Paul James sucks. Love you, Paul.
Transhuman is child's play.
Transhuman is child's play. As I say, 4-up wounding.
Tactically simple. Just walk down the middle of the board.
Terminator brick.
Roll 11-inch charges. Win. Done.
Easy.
Raven Wing have some fun stuff, but just don't seem to be as good, which is sad because Raven Wing are cool. But generally, I don't mind Dark Angels. I think they're all right.
They're an army that's colours are green, and yet no one fields any green models.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting
Black
thing.
With white shoulder pads, so here is the way forward.
It's the only way to paint them.
Yeah. So they're not brilliant.
They're not even good.
The Dark Angels Terminator list is one of my least favourite lists to play against. I really don't like it. Oh yeah, they suck because they're Chaos Space Marines. All that stuff. But they're solid without being inspiring as far as events are concerned, right?
Yeah.
So an average Joe, if they took the all Terminators list,
I think it's 3-2.
They could probably win 3 games without a doubt.
Yeah, I think they get outmaneuvered and killed in one, but I think.
Yeah, I think they probably are on the cusp of 2-3-3-2, but I think the fact that the Terminator list is so resilient and that so many things just whitey into it means that 3-2 is very doable.
Yep.
Depending on what you hit. And we got Deathwatch. I don't know much about Deathwatch.
Good luck learning all the rules, I think.
They suck because they're so complicated.
They got a weird fiddly book, which was strange. And they got that Army of Renown, which was stupid because it just wounds everything.
Yeah, they can auto wound with a whole unit, like with flamers shooting or whatever the stratagem is, right? Just the whole army, the whole unit shoots.
Absolutely bonkers.
It hits.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I think it's just not resilient enough, though. It's still just bound by the Space Marine data sheets. It doesn't have those unique units, the likes of Blood Angels and the Deathwing and stuff.
Oh, completely. And you pay even more as well for your kill teams and stuff. You end up with like 3 expensive kill teams on the board, and then the opponent just dunks one of them a turn, and then that's shake hands time.
You're like, great. All I've got is still bolt rifles.
Yeah. And being able to mix different Space Marines in squads is not as interesting or exciting as you would think it might be.
No.
In the end,
it's like great. I can put 5 Outriders.
I think you can play Deathwatch. I think you can play Deathwatch really well, but I don't think your average player can.
Yeah,
because who is it? Mike Costello played Deathwatch really well, and
Mm-hmm.
he plays things. He's good at
He's gone
40k.
to Night Lords now.
So it can be done, but you, average Joe, are not Mike Costello, and that is why we're going to put you in. Oh, for me, it's the cusp. It's the 2-3-1-4 cusp.
1-4, I think. Yeah.
1-4. Let's put them in there because we don't know them and we don't need to be nice to them.
We don't know any players. So.
Yeah,
Grey Knights. Grey Knights. Why do they suck?
because they're not even good at killing demons, is what they're supposed to be good at doing.
Oh yeah, they
their
their relics don't even kill demons.
They have a warlord trait to ignore a demon's invul save that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well done, G-Dub.
They were the Whoopsall Dreadknights thing was a thing, so never forgive, never forget. And they were briefly very good, and I got very bored of Grey Knights players pretending that beating Jakari was something impressive when the whole book was designed to fuck Jakari in the face, and all the Grey Knights players knew that and were too busy getting kudos for smashing my army in.
Grey Knights just love elves because the sheer weight of fire from their troops is just lovely.
Yeah, it's just
bolters,
teleports, smites. Yeah. It's just they are elf banes.
And then you come in at Custodians,
they're all right.
And they just suck. Storm bolters do nothing. Your mortal wounds are ignored on 4-ups. So great. Your damage 2 is halved against all their dreadnoughts that everyone's running now. So yeah, GG. I'm not bitter.
You've moved on well from the month ago.
Yeah. I mean, where do you think they land? They score okay. They got good. They got a couple of all right secondary options, don't they?
Flame, whatever it is.
Purifying's nice. I think the Mortals goes through quite a lot of armies quite happily, and bad players will just get melted by Grey Knights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're a 3-2.
So,
Dave.
And again, their predators are in the top.
Anyone could go.
Yeah, I think they're a 3-2. They got some. Very nice. Imperial Fist. We're just going to put the Imperial Fist in the 05
and then just
not
move.
Talk about it. We don't need to talk about it.
They suck because they're yellow and yellow. It's tough to paint. Done.
Mass heavy bolters happen. Never forgive, never forget.
There might Manny Team took them to LVO.
With artillery spam.
Didn't even win with them because he played into the Iron Hand Leviathan list, killed all the killable stuff too quickly that he couldn't then kill more in the rest of the time. Killed the enemy too quickly and lost to John Lennon because of it, and therefore they suck.
That's extremely funny, but Imperial Fist definitely suck.
And we apologise to the one Imperial Fist player who may be out there who's listening.
I lost to Imperial Fist twice in one event, and then I spent weeks thinking about how to design a list to beat Imperial Fist, and then I never played them ever again. And so they suck. So they can get in the 05 because I just think that's where you're going to end up. Iron Hands suck because of what they did to 8th edition.
Yeah. The past transgression.
They were the first of the internet whinges about book phenomenon that we've lived through so many times now that it no longer even tickles my notice. But they were the original big bads. 3 repulsors, some guy standing behind them, 5-up invuln, -1 damage, shoot you off the board. Jobs are good. And only Nassim has ever played them in 9th edition. The only person to do so. Mikey does. A couple of people have done all right with them.
With drop pods stuff.
And they like Volkites and drop pods and all that stuff, don't they? And they do all right. I think they're solid. I think a decent player is I think so. I think a decent player is having a solid time with that. Raven Guard, I think are going to go.
Well, they suck because they were like the wannabes of the Iron Hand era.
They were just dropping a bunch of Centurions on your face.
People took Iron Hands or they took Raven Guards and hoped they went first. And I had my worst ever defeat at the hands of Raven Guard when I lost 1,100 points of my army turn 1. So they suck.
Oh, they suck because I've never seen anyone even try and use them in 9th edition in a competitive sense, really. I've never seen them about.
No.
They're emos.
So they must be appalling. They have all these little movement shenanigans, but if all you can do is move some overcosted, easily killed Space Marines from one part of the board to another,
doesn't do much.
It's not
and then fail a 9-inch charge. Who cares?
And then fail your 9-inch charge. So.
Yeah.
Oh, don't talk about 9-inch charges. A lot of 9-inch charges got made yesterday. I'm still aching from how many 9-inch charges happened to me. So, can they win a game is the question, or are they down there with the Imperial Fists?
I think because movement is key in this edition, I think they will probably win one more than the Fists.
Let's put them in the 1-4 then.
And you could go a whoops all in super fighty list and just stick it on 9 inches away from your enemy, and that might work.
Their +1 to hit and wound against characters is also great against Demons Monster Mash. So you're welcome.
There we go.
Raven Guard players, off you go. Go and have fun with that.
Guard, yeah. Build around that.
Salamanders suck because they're the good guys. They're nice. They're nice blokes.
And all those flamers auto hitting.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Lots of very jammy strats. Making flamers and melters good, which are the two only good special guns anyone ever wants anyway.
Yep.
And then they're tough to kill now, no reroll wounds. I suspect Salamanders are pretty good. I'd put Salamanders...
They'd be good into demons.
Yeah, great into demons.
Flamer action, he's got better flamers.
They're probably 2-3, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
I think they're hard. I think you could definitely build some quite tricky Salamanders lists.
Yeah, and I think the no reroll wounds sounds really good, but how often does it actually come in?
Not that often, in truth. A lot of armies I play like reroll wounds, but I don't think it would be that important. But they do have good strats and some good tools in the book, which is more than can be said for some of the others. Space Wolves. Why does Space Wolves suck?
I think because everyone hated Ragnar exploding fours with Touch of the Wild and hitting about 34 times with 6 attacks.
Yes.
But
that does sound like it would suck. I'll tell you why they suck, because you never actually see any Space Wolves. You only encounter Space Wolves successors these days.
Yeah, and then you can't take any of their cool characters, and that's what Space Wolves are all about.
So none of the cool characters are in there. Basically, Space Wolves players will insist that you can't run any of the interesting units. Actually, Wolfen get in now, but you can't take the Thunderwolf Cavalry because they actually have to go around some walls and stuff. You can't take any of the fun characters. The fun Dreadnoughts don't get in there. And it ends up...
Grimnar on sled.
Oh, where's Logan Grimnar on sled? Where's he at?
That model really sucks.
He really sucks.
Logan Grimnar just sucks, though. His rules is just like, here's a super beefy chapter master, and he doesn't really have anything cool about him at all. It's like, he just hits hard. Great. Just take it's,
I think it's another solid one. Because secondaries are now good.
Sixes is always good.
Exploding sixes are good, secondaries are good, and if you tank a bunch of shots and then just cover the opponent in being smashed in the face, and they actually have some fight phase control, which is quite unusual for a Space Marines army. Most Space Marine armies like being just killed, but the Space what the Space Wolves have decided to do is bring one of the tools that actually gives you some say in the fight phase with them, so that does give them something. So well done, Space Wolves. And event wise though, where do we put them?
2-3, aren't they? They're as good as
2-3.
What did we put Blood Angels as?
Blood Angels are 3-2.
They're not as good as Blood Angels, but they're in the second.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think they're up top of 2-3, depending on what you hit. But I think 2-3 is very reasonable. Ultramarines don't shuck because Sean Catewell plays them, and he's the best man in the world. And that's all we have to say about that. No,
just kidding.
They're the starter army. They absolutely suck. They're blue.
They really suck. No one likes them.
Gilliman sucks. Absolutely awful. And
what boring Primarch. What boring army.
Yeah, just very little interest.
Chuck them in the bin. 0.
Throw them all in the bin.
Cheers,
but I think they're better.
They're probably 1-4. They're a
Yeah,
1/4.
I think
That's
they're
what Sean
high.
gets
I'm
me,
going to
right?
say high 1/4, high 1/4, because the Gilliman Castle does put out a quite devastating amount of
Got you.
shots and re-rolled hits and wounds in a
Yeah.
way that a lot of things don't, and that's no joke. Their secondary's not terrible, but it isn't great. So we'll put them in the
They've got
1/4.
shock tactics now, haven't they? So
They've
pretty
got
Yeah,
shock
that is an
tactics.
OP thing.
Their
So,
problems are all
3-2.
solved.
Good old ST.
So put them in the 1/4, and Sean, forgive me, please. White scars. White scars. Why do white
They used
scars
to be
suck?
really good
They were good once.
for a while, but they couldn't handle it.
Yeah, they're fast and punchy.
2
Advanced
damage,
cards.
that sucks. Doing 2
Yeah,
damage.
everything going to damage 2, and then you just getting mullered by like chainswords. That's not fun. That's extremely horrible.
But then as the White Scars player, it sucks because of all the damage reduction.
They've got a strat for trapping you in combat, which sucks. And they can turn off Overwatch with a spell.
Oh.
Both terrible play experiences. If your Hemlock Wraithfire is getting charged by a captain with a Thunderhammer and he's just turned the Overwatch off and you were really looking forward to melting that captain, and now you can't.
And then you can't move and then you explode.
And then you explode. Yeah.
Yeah, that does suck.
I don't know.
They don't even know where the Primarch is. He ran off chasing
exactly.
Bakari and then went and got lost in some gate
absolutely
thing.
appalling, isn't it?
What a loser.
Just horrific.
Lazy writing that. He's lost somewhere.
He might appear one day. Oh,
Such lazy writing from GW in all of them. The lion's asleep and the Khan's chasing some elves.
Are they 1/4 or are they 2/3 though?
1/4.
1/4. Brutal on the White Scars. Again, a bit too honest in the old fight phase, given how many other things out there are going to absolutely ruin you in it. Speaking of ruining you in the fight phase, let's do the armies of chaos. So,
seamless segue.
Chaos demons. Why do chaos demons suck?
Because I love Zinch and they've got a 6-up save in combat.
And also because they have a 3-up save to all shooting, which sucks for everyone else.
Yeah, that feels silly. I'm bored of Bellicor now. Bellicor's in everything all the time.
He's too hard to kill, it sucks.
And he costs too much money, otherwise I would buy him. So that sucks.
The demons suck that they're carried by a few data sheets.
Flamers.
Flamers. It's just flamers, and they've drastically overcosted all the troops.
Yeah.
And Beasts of Nurgle aren't as tough as you'd want them to be. That sucks. And it doesn't... Flavorful Army, the book doesn't feel as flavorful as it should. No. The deep strike mechanic's okay, but the rest is less exciting to me. Like, Nurgle demons don't seem to do anything.
No.
Slaanesh is alright. Khorne seems to be quite good in places, and then Flamers, and then that's about it. So for a very flavorful 4-god book, it feels like demons this are going to look pretty samey pretty quickly.
Khorne can still just be shot off the table. 4-up
Except the Bloodthirster. They've got the Bloodthirster.
Except that one model, yeah. And Bellicor. So they've got 2 models that won't be shot off the board because a Psyker and a Khorne army is fluffy. So yeah, and Zinch can't be shot off the table, but touch them and they'll fall apart. So between the 2 of them,
and if you like Slaanesh, then you really don't want to be looking through that person's internet history.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So attracts weirdos and deviants just like the Drakari do.
Yeah.
If you're an average Joe playing demons,
that's a tough day.
Your averageness is going to outweigh the averageness of your opponents getting caught out. That's the problem.
I reckon 3-2.
You reckon? I guess your big monsters will get you home, won't they? Your
Bellicors. You can just go like Monster Mash and just ram it down your opponent's throat.
Yeah, I mean that works.
You've got Flamers, which are just nasty.
They've still got that nice janky undercosted unit on release to rely on yet. And the monsters, I mean that Bloodthirst is horrible as well. Some armies just will not get through that. So we'll put Chaos Demons in 3-2. Then we've got Chaos Knights.
They're not as good as Imperial Knights. So they suck at being knights.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think, again, it's got the, it's all armigers problem. That makes me a bit sad. And then now it's all armigers, but also Abaddon is there for some reason. Is also pretty boring as well.
He's just
That's
walked up for the party.
the dread mechanic, whilst very lovely and well written, also sucks because all it does is just ruin everything I want to do all the time.
You want to shoot that unit? Take leadership
Can't.
shot. You want to charge me? Take leadership shot.
I think deep down, none of us really want leadership to actually do anything. Because it's just one more thing. It's one more thing than we actually need in our lives, and for that reason, Chaos Knights suck. Yeah. That said, if you run them at an event right now, you'll be fine, because knights are knights.
Yeah. But spiky bits as well, which is a pain in the ass.
So I don't think they're as good as the Imperial ones, but I would put them in the 3-2, and I would say they're high in the 3-2.
I've never beaten Imperial Knights, but I have beaten these Chaos Knights with Harlequins. So
you did, yes, you did. Good. There you go.
Empirical evidence.
We have Chaos Space Marines. Are we going to indulge and break them up, or are we just going to do them in one lump?
I think you split out Creations of Bile and Emperor's Children, and then the rest are just generic.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think if you were going, I think you can in the sort of the lower categories put. There's a few of them that just don't quite seem to do much.
Alpha Legion, which is a shame.
Alpha Legion, Iron Warriors, neither of those seem to do very much. I'd put them in the 2-3 though, because it's still a good book with good data sheets.
With Abaddon and
Abaddon will just follow every Legion around. So
yeah.
He is a slut.
I think the 3-2, I'm going to put the Black Legion and I'm going to put the Night Lords because I think they're both weaker, but still have some stuff they can do. And then I think it's what we do with our Bile and our EC.
Well, Bile sucks just in general.
Bile fucking sucks because Fight on Death sucks. And
it's just
the thing with them,
surely they got fixed.
The thing with them is that they don't even die anyway. Because I've not even managed to kill them half the time, and then they hit you just as much when they're alive as they do when they're dead, and it's horrible. And also they got a better secondary than flipping Take Them Alive, which is just do the exact same thing but get millions of points instead of some. But I think Bile can be shot off, so I'm going to put Creations of Bile in 4-1 because I think you can get shot off the board.
Matchups,
yeah, exactly. And depending on what you hit, you could be lower, could be higher.
Tau and Imperial Knights, I think, can deal with them.
EC suck because they're just good at everything. Just good at everything. Shoot good, charge good
at the game.
Fight good, cover loads of ground. The secondary game is a bit ropey, but it's not bad.
Doesn't matter if your opponent's dead.
Well, exactly that.
Primary.
So I reckon they're a 5-0. We're going to put them in with Tyranids at the top to annoy Lee Churchwood.
No pressure, but anyone can win a GT.
Anyone can win a GT with Emperor's Children.
If someone who has always played Emperor's Children, if he can't win,
and I think that's, as long as you got your Terminator Brick and your Noise Marines, I think you're going to have a great time. Death Guard.
Even Jamie East can win games with them. So
beginner friendly then.
Beginner friendly.
They're solid, aren't they? They're very solid. Yeah, I think they're a nice one, and that's one of the reasons they suck is because it's so hard to kill. They're so damn hard to kill. So annoying. But also, I think if you play Death Guard, the slowness would probably start to get to you after a while as well. The movement and the needing to be thinking very carefully about where you go and when you go there.
Yeah, especially I think with the Army of Renown, because you haven't got the mowers and the like that can jump out.
Mm.
I don't know if I'd want a whole army that only moves 5 inches.
I think.
Time assess though. Yeah.
I think for the solidity, they probably are 3-2.
Which is weird because when you then play into Stuart and you're like, I don't understand how I win this game.
That's playing Stuart though. Stuart makes things feel very impossible. That's his talent. Mm. He's a very good player in that way.
Yeah, I just don't think they have a lot of armies that you think, right, this is going to be a struggle. I think they're always just going to score so well that you think, I've always got a chance at everything. Yeah. I think as crazy as it is, I think I'd be more tempted to put them in 4-1 than potentially some of the armies.
Well, for the average Joe,
they score so well.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, we could if you like.
But Chris won't like that because he's got Harleys and 3-2. And
what do we think? We're going to bump them up. The Stuart McIntyres.
Just for the average Joe, Jamie. Come on, man.
Yeah, no, but I think they're more average Joe friendly than Harleys are.
I think that's true.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think if you're running that Terminus Est, I just think
I
there are
said
no
Jamie
bad matchups.
All right, we're going to do it. We're going to put them in the 4-1.
We need to make a couple of wrong decisions for people to pick up and write some comments.
Yeah,
all comments are good.
I've already forgotten about the Red Corsairs. That's one bad decision already. Red Corsairs we're going to put in.
Yeah, even if you hate us, please let us know in a comment.
Yeah, absolutely do.
It then boosts our video.
We thrive on your hatred.
The worst thing you can do is silently hate us.
Did you find this boring? If so, tell us.
Yes, especially if you're female. That would be ideal. So
boring. So boring. Yeah, I think that makes sense, actually. I think Death Guard are hard work for a lot of armies.
Mm-hmm.
Thousand Suns suck.
Because Lee Jones plays them.
Because Lee Jones plays them, and he never comes anywhere near you, and then he scores all his points, and then if you go near him, he just smites your brain out.
Mortal Wounds, the most unfun thing to achieve in the game, and they do it all the time.
And then they should be slow, but they teleport everywhere, which means you're always worrying about where they're going to teleport.
Yep. And they can just shoot like a billion shots at AP too.
And that is all they can do.
They have no
range.
ability to kill vehicles. That's apart from Mortal Wounds. That sucks.
And the cowards wrote them a book in which the Mutalith Vortex Beast wasn't good because they just they didn't want to live a little. Yeah. And so it all ends up just being Terminators.
And now they can ally in
and
Flamers.
Now
Flamers. Better.
Now Flamers, yeah. Which bumps them, doesn't it? Does make them better.
Yeah.
And their Primarch definitely did something wrong, so that sucks. Tries to get away with it. So
where do we put them? Where do you put the old Thousand Suns? They're quite fiddly to play.
They are hard. Having experience trying to play them from scratch, they are hard to use for the average Joe. So therefore I put them in the 2-3.
Let's do it. How do you like that, Lee? 2-3 for your blue shiny boys.
That means Lee's better than an average Joe, though, because he does better.
Oh, we already knew that.
Yeah.
That, I think,
Space
is everything.
Wolves higher than T-Suns.
As it's meant to be. No, Space Wolves are in with T-Suns in the 2-3.
Oh, are they? That's okay then.
They're both in there together.
Slumming it together.
Yeah. Is there anything we've missed off? Any factions we're missing? I don't think there is.
Nothing important.
No, nothing. Brilliant. So, that's our average Joe's tier list. We've got Imperial Fists at 05. Got a busy 1-4 bracket with the Mechanicus, Black Templars, Deathwatch, Raven Guard, Ultramarines, and White Scouts. A lot of Marines in there. Then we got the 2-3 with Custodes, Militaro, Maldari, GC Occults, Orcs, Yunari, Iron Hands, Salamanders, Space Wolves, Iron Warriors, Alpha Legion, Red Corsairs, Thousand Suns. Still very Marine heavy. Moving into that 2-3, Sisters Drakari. They don't deserve to be in there, I don't think, looking at the rest of it. Sisters Drakari, Leagues of Votan, Harlequins, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Grey Knights, Chaos Demons, Chaos Knights, Black Legion, Night Lords. 4-1, Imperial Knights, Necrons, Tau, Creations of Baal, Death Guard. 5-0, Tyranids, and Emperor's Children. That is the meta for the average Joe. The average Joe. I know for a fact Emperor's Children are not straightforward to play. But we just have to wind Lee Churchill up because he's winning all his games at the moment. So we have to try and dilute that a bit, discredit him using online propaganda. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're all about here at 6++. Thank you very much for listening to this show. I think we're all going to go now, but we'll see you another time. Don't worry if your army sucks, you can always start another one. Just listen back to this and take our advice.
Absolutely.
Great. Thanks, Jimmy. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.